The following is true to the best of my memory. Our story takes place some 40 years ago in the freezing cold of December in Webster Groves, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. The ice storm hit hard in early morning. The news had hyped it up the night before. It will be the worst storm of the century. 40 million people will be in its path. By morning, the news said we had a quarter inch of ice. In Webster, it was an inch and a quarter, I was sure. Tree limbs fell. They looked like giant popsicle sticks covered in clear ice. Everything glistened like cut diamonds. It was as cold as a brass toilet seat in Iceland. Being an elementary school counselor in Ladue School District of St. Louis County, I waited with anticipation for the expected phone call from my principal, Mr. Boffin. He would be loved by all teachers and students if he called and said, "No school today." I was like a 10-year-old waiting for Christmas. I waited and waited and waited for the phone call. I rejoiced as I watched Channel 5 for the closings. One after the other school district closed, city and county, they were falling with closures. Catholic schools closed by the hundreds. Closed. A free day. No driving on ice. No bus duty. No cafeteria duty. Every teacher's dream. I planned my day. I would go back to sleep for a while. And then I would stay in my super soft, threadbare plaid robe all morning. I would drink hot coffee and perhaps more coffee, topped with Reddywood. Apricot jelly on my warm whole wheat toast and watch the jelly ooze off onto the plate. Then watch Perry Mason reruns on TV to fall asleep once more. What rapture! Alice, my wife, was already on the bus to work. Webster Grove schools never closed, so our kids wouldn't have to go. So just like a sick day alone without being sick. Glorious. No call. Not fair. I could see protests in every Ladue home and red in all the teachers' eyes. Only Webster Groves, Kirkwood, and Ladue were open. Drat. Maybe I could do a fake superintendent call to Channel 5. "This is Chuck McKenna. Ladue is closed," I would say. Teachers and students would rejoice. No, I better not. I prepared for the drive. I also thought it would be dangerous for my daughters, Liz and Beth, to walk to Avery School. I had them get in the car. I would drop them off on the way. Then the nap boys next door, they piled in, and the frickin' kids too. That was their real name. That was the hero of Elmwood. The car had been carefully parked in front of her house. Good strategy for a snowstorm, but not for ice. I eased forward to the center of Elmwood. The car immediately made a 180-degree turn with the rear of the car leading the front and down the hilly street. "Oh no," I gasped. All 7 kids said not a word. I was as helpless as a newborn baby as the car slowly rested on the other side of the street, now facing uphill. I tried to get the car to move, but to no avail. No up, no down, simply lodged against the curb. The kids all said they needed to get to school. They all exited the car and slipped and slid and skated to school, and I thought, I have to get to school too. Luckily, we had 2 vehicles. I got in my other car from the garage and easily made it to school. Safe. Right after I arrived, Mr. Boffin said, "I had a call from the police in Webster Groves. You see, the side that I was parked on was no parking." I knew I was not supposed to park there, but I didn't really park there, did I? The police didn't see it my way. They gave me a parking ticket. But why were they so all fired efficient that day? Here's why. The Webster Grove salt truck had come to de-ice the streets of our frozen suburb just after I left home. The truck came around the corner of Elmwood and Fairlawn and slid around exactly the same way I did. As it hit my car, the rear of the truck hit the hood of my car, popped it open, and poured out tons of salt all over the engine and burying my car. The salt truck drove away with no damage to the monster. Nervously, I drove home from Old Bonham School. What would I find? Of course, now the streets were fine. As I drove past my corner, I glanced at my car. Neighbors with big smiles on their faces were carrying buckets of salt scooped out of my engine. They were so happy. There must have been a dozen neighbors out there with spoons and ladles and everything they could find. After all, free salt for today and the rest of the winter. Some even said they were going to save it for the 4th of July to make ice cream. Did they even care that my car was ruined? And then I had a parking ticket. I called for the tow truck. The AAA driver said, "Did you know that you parked on the wrong side of the street? Here's the ticket that they gave me. Here it is for you." I wanted to scream, but then he saw the salt and he laughed. I laughed too. I called my car insurance man, Don. I told him what had happened. He laughed and said, "Well, I'll have to take care of that." Then I told him about the ticket. He asked, "Why did I get a ticket?" And I told him that I was parked in the no parking zone on the other side of Elmwood. I said, "At least 200 buckets of salt were poured in my engine from the Webster Grove salt truck." He said, "Well, you'll have to go to court and get that ticket canceled, or the insurance company wouldn't pay." I said, "What?" He repeated it. My birthday was set. I was a criminal in my own town, the Al Capone of Elmwood. The next day, I went sheepishly to the courtroom at City Hall. I sat down with the other criminals. Who are they? Why were they here? Perhaps an act murderer was sitting next to me. Oh, I saw one guy with beady eyes. He figured he was a bank robber. I felt my pocket for my wallet, and it was still with me. I was first up. No lawyer in tow, just my family as character witnesses. Being a storyteller, I told the judge my tale. Oddly, he became more and more fascinated by my story and more irritated by my desperation. I was pleading for my life. You know, it was just so sad. He had the power over my life. A mountain of salt was poured in my car. And after the Webster Grove's monster salt truck had ruined my car, popped up the hood, and it's destroyed, and insurance won't pay if you don't do something with the ticket. I was a simple educator, I told him, trying to support my family. My wife, Alice, was crying alligator tears. Liz and Beck were especially good with their looks of anguish. I repeated that I didn't park on the wrong side any more than the truck did. It was a massacre, I said. I told him we were lucky that no one was in the car when the truck hit. Tears came down every cheek in the court. Oh, the humanity. And even the bank robber was crying. The judge looked at me. He looked at the clerk. "Hey, how do we get rid of this guy?" The clerk said, "Mark the ticket not guilty." I swear the entire roomful of the innocent and guilty began to dance together and celebrate like a Pentecostal revival. And sure, as the salt truck went at the toll lot, we found 4 chunks of rock salt that didn't melt on the carburetor. And I placed them in a bag with all the other things. Were 25 candy wrappers 3 broken icebreakers, the Macleod gas bill from 2 years ago I never mailed, rusty tools, a dead flashlight, and more. The insurance company paid us. The neighbors were eternally grateful, and I was not a criminal. I took the 4 chunks of unmelted rock salt to Scotsman Golden Coin Shop. They turned out to be real diamonds, which I shared with my family. Our daughter Liz paid for her law degree at Harvard. Beck bought a cottage with 40 rooms on Mackinac Island. And my wife Alice paid for 2 trips for us around the world and bought a Toyota minivan. It's out there. My garden with beautiful irises. I bought all 80,000 varieties, plus 2,201 1904 St. Louis World's Fair souvenirs. This is as true as I remember it, and the name is the Great Salt Truck Massacre.